Loving God, I just pray today that our hearts, that our minds and our ears may be open to hear your word and to receive your message today. Amen. Please do take a seat. So, Reverend Lydia said that I could choose the reading today, and she's probably sat there thinking, why on earth has Phillippa chosen this reading? What has this story possibly got to do with Harvest Festival? Is Harvest Festival about climbing trees? Well, hopefully all will become clear before too long. So, our story today is about a man called Zacchaeus. Now, Zacchaeus was a man who liked things. He worked as a tax collector, and because of his job, he earned more money than most people. With his money, Zacchaeus started to buy things, lots of things. And he really, really liked his things. He liked to look at them. He liked to admire them. He liked to buy more of them. And he wanted more and more and more. He wanted new things so badly that his possessions and his money had started to become the most important thing in his life. More important than his friends. More important than his family. More important than God. In fact, making money and buying things became so important to Zacchaeus that he wasn't always very honest, and he became something of a cheat, making money from people by dishonest means. Zacchaeus stored more and more things until he had so much stuff that he lost all sense of direction in his life. He just couldn't see where he was going or what was important anymore. Now, Zacchaeus couldn't see that lots of the people that he lived around just didn't have as much stuff as he did. In fact, all of his possessions were stopping Zacchaeus doing all sorts of things. He was just too busy with his things to spend time with his friends and his family. But Zacchaeus had heard that Jesus was coming to town. Everyone was talking about it, the strange things that Jesus said, the miracles that he performed. And curious, Zacchaeus wandered into town to see what all the fuss was about. When he got there, he saw a big crowd swarming, people trying to get to see Jesus. Now, Zacchaeus was only a little man. He wasn't very tall, and he couldn't see over the crowd. But he really, really wanted to see what was happening. So he climbed a big sycamore tree. And when Jesus walked by, he looked up and he saw Zacchaeus there sitting in the tree, his face peeking through the branches. Jesus didn't ask Zacchaeus what he was doing sitting up a tree. It probably would have been a very fair question. He just said, "Zacchaeus, hurry up. Today I am going to be a guest in your home." Well, Zacchaeus was over the moon. Out of all the people there, all those people in the crowd, Jesus had chosen him. Not quite believing his good fortune, he scrambled out of the tree and took Jesus home. Zacchaeus was absolutely delighted to take Jesus home with him for dinner. But everybody else was a bit grumpy, a bit indignant. They were muttering about how unfair it was that Jesus was going to visit the home of a crooked tax collector. But eating with Jesus and sharing a meal together, Zacchaeus learned a really important lesson. He learned about the importance of sharing what he had with other people. He learned about giving. And straight away, almost without thinking, Zacchaeus started to give away his possessions. Stammering apologetically, he promised Jesus that not only was he going to give away his many possessions and his wealth to people that needed the things, he was going to pay back 4 times the amount of anything that he'd cheated out of people. Finally, Zacchaeus was free from the things that had tied him down and really stopped him living. In our world today, we might not collect things quite like Zacchaeus did, but we have so much food, so many possessions, that maybe we don't see the people who are going hungry and are in need anymore. In this country, most people have so many opportunities to learn, to eat food that's nutritious and healthy, that we often forget that right across the world, there are still lots of children who can't go to school, who don't have access to clean drinking water, who don't have access to regular meals. Traditionally, Harvest Festival has been a time when people bring produce from their gardens into church and give thanks to God for successful harvests and for the food we eat. And I think Zacchaeus' story has everything to do with harvest. Our lives are so full of things, of possessions, of being important, of being popular, of coming first, having the biggest house, the fastest car, that just like Zacchaeus, we can also find it hard to see where we're going, to reach out to others and to notice the good things that God has given us. But when we share in hospitality and friendship, when we give generously, and when we're thankful for the good things that God has given us, then we're able to enjoy God's world together with all of God's people. Today, instead of bringing fresh produce that we've grown in our gardens into church, we've asked people to bring offerings of goods that will be given to the food bank in Shepshed. This is a symbolic action that reminds us not only that we should thank God for the good things in our lives, we should do, but then when we're blessed with that abundance, when we are blessed with lots of good things, we have a Christian duty to share with others rather than hoarding what we have and using our gifts to accumulate more and more for ourselves while other people are not as fortunate. So I'm going to finish today with a prayer. Loving God, as we celebrate our Harvest Festival, let us give thanks for all the good things that you provide in our lives. Help us not to be greedy, but to be generous and fair in sharing the world's gifts. Amen. So,